Welcome 7 Days to Die fans, this is Zith, and this is tutorial number 3 in the Legacy Animation series. I want to show you how to go ahead and make your own animations. Now, you can do that in Unity with what's called the dope sheet down here, which is frame by frame animation. It's difficult, painful. That's how I learned, and I won't wish that on anyone. I will cover that at a later date for those people that want to do that. But I highly recommend you make your animations in another tool. If you know 3D Studio Max, Maya, other tools like that, most of those allow easier animation. But there is the simplest of all animation programs out there called Mixamo. It hasn't been updated in years, probably not going to work much longer, but while it's working, it's really good for animating humanoids. So let's get started. First, I want to show you how you can make your own custom 7 Days to Die character. If you go up to, I showed you before using, and I think one of the first tutorials in another series, how to use the Unity Asset Bundle Extractor, UABE. You can pull all the meshes and materials and stuff out of the game. So if you look under meshes, I'm going to go ahead and look for Arlene, which is one of the zombies in the game. And you can see here in my assets, since I pull all that, here's the texture for Arlene. All right, I had pulled all that out of Unity, and there's the Arlene PNG, and then there's the Arlene.obj, which is what we need today. And there's some other files as well, such as the line of draw for how she renders in a distance with lower overhead, and a normal map for this. So these are the two textures that you need for Arlene. You can also use the spectacular texture here, so there's actually 3 if you want to set it up with the spectacular. But for now, let's go ahead and find the OBJ file. This one here that has the mesh on it is the one you want right here. So go ahead, right-click, Show and Explore, and save a copy of Arlene.obj to your desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and right now I'm going to right-click and drag that. And don't move, because if you do that, you're going to not have it to use again. So just copy it. So when that Arlene is on your desktop, we can go ahead and close that down, and we're going to go ahead and bring up a tool called Mixamo. There we go. Now Mixamo is, you're going to have to log in, create a account and log in. It's a free Adobe program. Like I said, they've stopped working on it. They've started a new project, and so every time I go in here, there's less and less free stuff in it. But it offers you a bunch of pre-built characters that you can animate. If you want to quick and dirty, make a character. I used this recently to make a quick and dirty paladin, demon spellcaster. You can do that. We're going to use our own character, all right? And so what I did here is we want to click on Upload Character, and the box there. We're going to now drag our Arlene.obj into that spot. So here we are. I'm going to drag it. And you see it's processing that mesh file, completely unrigged, and now it's going to auto-rig it. So here we go here. I'm going to go down, and we take a look. Here's Arlene, what she looks like in the game. We can look at her from all different sides. You want her to be facing this way, all right? And then click Next. Now we have to tell it where the body parts are. So we drag the chin to the chin. We drag the wrists to the wrists, elbows to the elbows, knees to the knees, and groin, well, it's probably somewhere in here. All right, that's done. We're going to pick this standard skeleton here for the purposes. These other choices here make the model slimmer from a CPU processing standpoint, as you won't essentially have the fingers that will be animatable. It will take those out on the line of draw. So you could make the full one for your main one, then you could do line of draw 1, line of draw 2, and line of draw 3 to speed things up. We're going to skip that right now. We're just going to do the standard skeleton. Click Next. And this auto-rigging can take up to a couple of minutes. And again, you notice there's no texture there. Don't worry about that, because you're going to pull those 3 textures, the main one, the normal map, and the spectacular. Pull those out and put that, and when you make a new folder called My Arlene, drag those 3 textures into the asset folder for that there, and that's where we're going to put this mesh. Then when it's all rigged up, we're going to put it back in Unity. So once those are all together, you can apply those textures to the model. Okay, here we are. There's Arlene from the game that's now in this. We review it, we're happy with it, we click next. There she is. So now we want to add some animations to this character. All right, so you click on the animation tab, and there's several thousand animations in here, all different types. She's a zombie. I'm going to just search for some zombie animations. There they are. Standard one. So if I want a standard zombie idle, I can click on that and I can apply it. All right. There's another idle here, which is a little more standing up. I kind of like that one as well. Now there's a lot going on here. Basically the height of the character here, how much she stands up, is adjustable. Activity is like how much she bops around within the animation. You can leave those anywhere in there. Overdrive is how fast the animation occurs, kind of like adjusting the frames per second in Unity. And then the arm spacing here, which I put all here, you notice that her arms would be wider. That's important. If you're going to do the fat zombie cop, the arms will clip on the fatness of the cop if you don't put his arms out a little bit. So I'm going to put that kind of back. And here's where you can, if you want to shorten the animation, you can trim some frames. You can also do that in Unity as well. It's important to keep the idle animation short because between attacks it kicks in, so you don't want it to take too long to do that. Well, we like that. Let's go ahead and save that now. We're going to download that animation, and we're going to click on make sure it's FBX for Unity. Leave all this the same, and we're going to download that. This takes a second, and now we have downloaded that asset. We're going to call it's Arlene Zombie Idle. We'll keep that for now on my desktop. We've got that one. We can go ahead and scroll down and pick Zombie Dying. Looks perfect. And we'll just keep everything the same, and we'll grab that one. Same thing. So we need to pick one for idle. You can have a couple of idles. Pick a death. I'll save that. A jump, a couple of attacks, so on and so forth. There's a zombie attack. Yeah, great, we could take that one. But I think we have enough for now. Here's the walking. And I wanted to highlight this one really quickly because you'll notice, if I can scroll down, you'll notice. Oh, that's in the way. You've got to, for Legacy Animation, you've got to click this In Place button. So now you see the characters walking in place. I'm going to shorten the stride up a little. Or should I make it longer? Yeah, shortens the stride up a little bit. Speed her up just a wee bit. Straighten her up her posture. Now, good with it. Downloading it. And there we go. All right, so now we have a few animations that we've done. And we'll save that under Arlene walking. And now we're pretty much done with this program here. And we'll go ahead and bring our Unity back up. And let's go ahead and create a new asset folder called Arlene. There it is. We'll open that up. And now I'm going to drag in all the things I need. Here's Arlene Walker. Arlene Dying, Arlene Idle. Those were the 3 we did there. I've got to go back up to, I'll search on Arlene again. And let's see, right there. Yep. Tricky. Arlene. I want this main mesh. And I'll show and explore. And there's the Arlene PNG. I can kind of slide this over a little bit and find Arlene. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that in there. There's that one. And then, let's see, there was the Arlene normal map here. I'm going to drag that in there. And the Arlene spectacular. drag that in there. All right, so now I've got those textures. So I'm going to pick one of these. Let's see, I usually like to, my standard is I always work with the idle. So let's go ahead and process this one. Now, if we look at it, it is still generic. We've got to do that legacy conversion. You all know how to do that. We check it and apply. And it's got a few textures in there. And we can go ahead and now drag Arlene here into the hierarchy. And boy, she's really small. So let's scrap that, delete it, and make her bigger before we drag her in. So there's the idle. We're going to go to the model, and we're going to make that, let's try what 10 looks like. We've got to save that. And now we move it in, and that looks about right. So you could make a supersized Arlene if you wanted. Actually, I'm going to compare that to another one that I've done before. And that's the zombie cop. She looks kind of small, so I think we need to kind of maybe double her, would you say? So let's do that. We'll delete her out again. We're going to go back to zombie Arlene idle, check her model, and maybe make that 15. All right. Let's apply that. And now we'll drag old Arlene back in again. She seems about right. I'll check her against my paladin. Yeah, it's about the right size. Again, it's up to you what you want to do there. So let's go back to her, and I'm going to rename her really quickly just to my Arlene. There she is. Expand her properties. And as you can see, this down here where it says hips, this is all the rigging that we've just imported here. Spine, all of that is in there. And this is the mesh that's in there. So, go to my Arlene. Let's go ahead and check her renderer. Now, right here is where the shader is. We want to go ahead and open that up. You see it already got that. But we want to have a bump diffuse. So we can have a normal map, and here's that normal. We drag that in there, and it's not marked as normal, so we click Fix. It turned that sucker blue, and now we have a bit of bumpy texture on her as well. We won't use the spectacular right now. We can click here, and we can darken her up. She'll appear a little bright if you don't do that, and that's good. So now we have got a Arlene in our scene. And she may appear a little dark now, but she'll probably be about right. Perfect. Let's animate her. You already know how to do that, so we won't spend a lot of time on it. But let's go into the Arlene idle, and you'll see there is this animation called Arlene Zombie Idle. Again, we Control D, make a copy of it. This is the one we want to use. We already converted that one to Legacy, so it's already good to go. Close that up. We're going to go into the next one, and this is the dying animation. Again, click on the animation in the package, Control D, pops it out here. We're just going to call that die, and then we click on die. Notice it's a generic animation, so again we click on the 3 lines, go to debug, make it legacy, click up again, click on normal, and now that is die. So we got an idle and we got a die done. We'll kind of just move forward here. Click on the Arlene, up to the animations. Let's go ahead and drag in the, I want to rename this one idle for standards. All right, and then go back to Arlene here, and I'm going to drag the idle in there, and then I'm going to drag the die animation in here. And so now we have those animations in. If we go ahead and click over on this list here, you can see we have the die. And boom. All right, now we're going to need to change. She ends up in the right spot, but she starts out in the wrong spot. That's going to need to be edited, which is why we kicked in the read only. Let's look at the idle. That one's right. So the die is needs to be adjusted. Not a problem. Since it is read-only. Let's go bring that one up. We'll click at the beginning here. This is when you start working on that dope sheet. It's really important. So this start animation here, this first column, we need to go ahead and select on the My Arlene, the whole entire thing, and we need to pull her default starting position up to where she's standing on those blocks. And again, let me make this a little bigger. That looks about right here. So now if we click it, all right, she's floating in midair, and we got to bring all that down. All right, so let's pick the end, and let's put her down. Not so she's sticking in the block, but right about there. All right, now we play it. And it's getting closer. It might be able to pass. You see she sinks a little bit. So to pull this down, pull this back here a little. And pick a keyframe somewhere in there. It looks like she gets maximally deep. And we're really concerned about the position here, so we'll pull that up a little bit. Playing it. Alright, I gotta have a little different view in here. So again, we can put her down here. We can slide this back. Now it's just a matter of the height. And here, so her feet goes, so she should start falling here a little bit more. And falling a little bit more. And then be up a little because she shouldn't be in the ground. And moving on. We could get away with that. And she's starting to rise up, so let's keep her a little closer. And she should be lower there. And maybe just a little bit lower there. I'd say that looks about right. Okay, liking it. Play it. Yeah, she shouldn't sink in at the end, huh? Let's stop that right there. Oop, sorry about that. Find that spot where she's sinking in. Again, this is sort of a bit of an art. Right there, she starts to sink. Find that point there. Bring her back up. We just went a little too low on that. Her boobs were in the ground. About there. Maybe that should be about it. And yeah, if anything, she looks like she rises up. But you get the idea of how that works. And so now we have that animation done. We have the die animation, the idle animation, and so forth. We have to add a collider, as we always know. We want to go ahead and put that collider on it, which is the mesh collider. And we got to find the mesh. The mesh is going to be called Arlene. We will find that simply by typing in Arlene. And I use the one, these are all the same, but I use the one that came with the one that I started with, the idle. And so I always pick that one. So that way it doesn't cross-reference other FBX files and start confusing the things. So there's the mesh. You know how to do that. You select the Arlene mesh for that particular animation, and we're going to want ahead and move that into the right spot. We already covered that. It is interesting though on an animation like that would work out, but you're going to see with die, it's going to be borked, right? So that's not going to work. When you go to loot her, there's just going to be one spot around her butt that's lootable. So you need to rotate that animation when you do it. How do you do that? Well, first we want to go ahead and change that. Select the, let's collapse that. Select the mesh. And it's not showing up real well. Oh, well, that shows you a mistake that it made. You don't put the mesh collider on the main body there, all right? And so, like I said, that's carelessness on my part. I'm going to remove that collider, and you've got to put it on this one here, where the skin mesh render is. So let me go ahead and do my work over here, embarrass myself, but like I said, this is a learning experience. And so now we have a mesh collider, and we're going to go find the Arlene mesh collider and find the one that was on the idle, walking idle right there. And there's the mesh collider on this one here. Perfect. So now when I slide it, the green thing comes down. So I guess it's not a bad thing that I screwed that up, because you know, these things happen all the time and you wonder what the hell you did. Well, that's what it was. So now we've got that mesh there. So when we do the die, we want it to fall flat, right? Okay, so again, start picking spots. I find it best to pick the beginning and the end as the starting. So there's the mesh. Make sure you highlight it here. Rotate that mesh. See the red line? Rotate that down to, it should be 90. Alright, and you're probably going to have to raise it up a little. Again, highlighting that. Going back to the movement one. Let's go ahead and move this around till it's basically on top of the model when it's dead. That way you'll be able to loot very easily. That looks pretty good. Doesn't have to be exactly rotated if you wanted to. You could turn it a little bit like that, and that's closer. So that's fine. Alright, so when we play that, it's going to end up in the same spot. It's not critical that when it's falling, because nobody loots while the character's falling, but if you want to go ahead and do that, it's again the same thing. You're simply moving this at the right time. Okay. So here you would go ahead, again, always make sure you're on the mesh. You could rotate her back a little bit like that, move it forward, and again, it doesn't matter that the mesh is in the ground. You could again rotate her back just a little bit, and then as long as it ends up where you want it, you can again slide the whole thing up a little, and boom. So now that's going to be a lootable model. And that's pretty much it. We've covered the rest of how to get that in game, so I look forward to the different meshes you guys animate and bring into the game, and hopefully I'll see them in a mod that I play soon. Thank you. Take care.